Golden State Nightmare, the serial rapist who became the Golden State Killer. For more than 40 years, he was the faceless terror of California. He crept through quiet suburbs, tied up couples in their homes, raped, and murdered, then vanished without a trace. Police called him many names: the East Area Rapist, the original Night Stalker, the Visalia Ransacker. But to the world, he became one name that sent shivers through millions: the Golden State Killer. And for decades, nobody knew who he was, until one ordinary man's DNA, hidden in a genealogy website, cracked the case wide open and ended one of the longest manhunts in American history. The nightmare began in the mid-1970s. Suburbs around Sacramento, California, were booming, safe. Neighborhoods where families left doors unlocked and children rode bikes until dark. But safety shattered when a masked man began breaking into homes at night. He would stalk his victims for days, sometimes weeks. Neighbors later recalled how their dogs barked at nothing or how they'd see strange cars parked outside. Then, in the dead of night, he'd slip in through sliding glass doors or unlocked windows. At first, he targeted women alone, tying them up, blindfolding them, and raping them. But soon, he escalated. By the late 70s, couples were his targets. He developed a terrifying ritual, tying the man up, placing dishes on his back, and whispering, "If I hear a single plate drop, she dies." This wasn't just crime, it was psychological warfare. By 1979, the attacks had escalated beyond rape. In Southern California, couples began turning up dead, bludgeoned, shot, or strangled in their homes. Detectives suspected a connection but couldn't prove it. In total, authorities would later link him to over 50 rapes, at least 13 murders, more than 120 burglaries. The scale of his crimes was staggering. Yet the man himself remained a ghost. Police sketches, based on fleeting glimpses, showed a slim man with cold eyes. But no arrest was ever made. By the 1980s, entire neighborhoods lived in terror. Families slept with shotguns by the bed. Hardware stores sold out of locks and floodlights. Newspapers warned of a masked intruder. But as suddenly as the attacks began, they stopped. By the mid-1980s, the Golden State Killer seemed to vanish. For decades, the case went cold. Detectives retired. Victims grew older, living with trauma and no closure. Some even died never knowing who had tormented them. Golden State Nightmare, the serial rapist who became the Golden State Killer. Part 2. Fast forward to the 2000s. Forensic science was changing. Cold case units began using DNA to revisit old crimes. In 2001, DNA evidence linked the East Area Rapist to the original Night Stalker. Two monsters were now confirmed to be the same man, the Golden State Killer. But there was still one problem. The DNA didn't match anyone in national databases. He remained anonymous. That changed in 2018, thanks to a revolutionary new tool, genetic genealogy. Detectives uploaded the Golden State Killer's DNA into GEDmatch, a public genealogy website where people submit DNA samples to trace family history. And there it was. A distant relative's DNA popped up as a partial match, like building a family tree in reverse. Investigators painstakingly narrowed the list until one name surfaced: Joseph James DeAngelo. DeAngelo had once been a police officer in California, fired for shoplifting decades earlier. He had lived quietly in Citrus Heights, a suburban neighborhood, all while hiding his monstrous double life. Detectives collected his discarded DNA from a car door handle. The match came back, a perfect hit. The Golden State Killer had finally been unmasked. Joseph DeAngelo was 72 years old when arrested in April 2018. To neighbors, he was a grumpy retiree, often seen tinkering in his garage. Some remembered his explosive temper, his tendency to yell at children, or his strange habits of prowling the neighborhood at night. But beneath the surface, he was one of America's most prolific serial predators. For decades, he had lived undetected, raising a family, working normal jobs, all while knowing what he had done. In 2020, after years of silence, Joseph James DeAngelo finally confessed in court. Sitting in a wheelchair, frail and old, he admitted to dozens of crimes. Survivors and victims' families filled the courtroom, many speaking through tears. finally confronting the man who had destroyed their lives. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without parole. For the first time in over 40 years, California could breathe again. While the arrest brought relief, it also reminded the world of the victims. Couples who never grew old together. Survivors who lived with nightmares for decades. Families who fought for answers long after hope seemed lost. Where are you watching us from? The Golden State Killer story isn't just about a criminal. It's about resilience, the determination of investigators, survivors, and a new generation of science that refused to let the past remain buried. For decades, he was a shadow in the night, a ghost haunting California. But in the end, the mask came off. The Golden State Killer thought he had escaped justice. Instead, his own DNA betrayed him. And his legacy is not one of power, but of defeat, because the people he tried to silence refused to stop searching. Subscribe for more videos like this.